All right, Unit 5, Formative 1, Day 2. Hello, everybody. Today we're going to factor trinomials. Remember, factoring is the opposite of the distributive property. So if you remember last week, we had a problem like this where we took this x and we multiplied it by this x and we got x squared. Okay, and then we took the x times negative 2 and got negative 2x. All right, then we had to take the 5 times x and we got 5x, and then the 5 times negative 2 and we got 10. And our middle two terms always combined, so we were left with x squared plus 3x minus 10. Okay, well today what we're going to do is we're going to take this problem and come up with this answer. Okay, so take a look. Okay, this negative 2x and 5x is how we got our middle term. Okay, and our x squared we got from multiplying x times x, and then the negative 10 we got from multiplying 5 times negative 2. Okay, so these two right here, the x squared and the negative 10, are going to be our crucial points, or the numbers we're going to look at first. Okay. Alright, so let's try one. Okay. So I have x squared plus 2x minus 15. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start off with my two parentheses. Okay. Now you remember these two terms, okay, I took and I multiplied this term times this term to get my x squared. So the only two things that I can multiply together to get x squared is x times x. That's the easy one. Okay. Now, to get negative 15. Right. To multiply two things to get negative 15, which means I'm going to have to take this times this to get negative 15. If we look at that, we got negative 15. Factors of negative 15, negative 1 and 15, negative 3 and 5, and that's it. Okay, we can't switch 1 and negative 15 and 3 and negative 5. Okay, but those are all my factors, everything I can multiply to get negative 15. What we're going to do is we're going to guess which one, and then we're going to check our answer. Okay, now knowing that this term is created by adding my two middle terms, I'm going to guess negative 3 and 5. Okay, negative 3 and 5, when I add them, I get 2. And that's what I want. So I'm going to guess negative 3 and 5. So I'm going to go ahead and put a negative 3 here and a plus 5. All right. So now this is what we think. This is our guess. So we need to check our answer. Now here's the nice thing about checking. We know that x times x is x squared. Okay. We also know that negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. So we don't have to check that. What we need to check is make sure our middle term here is going to be a 2x. So that means I'm going to take my outside two terms. So my x is an outside term and my 5 is an outside term. And I'm going to multiply them. X times 5 is 5x. Okay. Then I'm going to take my inside terms. My negative 3 and x. Multiply those, I get negative 3x. And add them. 5x and minus 3x is 2x. Okay? So that is what happens in the middle, okay, when I combine them. And that's what I want up here. I want 2x. And that's what I got down here. So my answer is correct. So here's my answer. Okay. Now when you're taking notes, please make sure you're writing everything down so you can refer to it, especially over here with the factors. Okay, those are going to come in handy. All right, next one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, have my two parentheses. Okay, and remember when I got to multiply these two terms to get x squared. Okay, remember we're going backwards. So what's the only two things I can multiply to get x squared is x and x. Now the next thing we're going to concentrate on is negative 35. So off to the side here, I'm going to list my factors of negative 35. Negative 1 and 35. Okay, negative 5 and 7. And then, of course, the opposite. Okay, 1 and negative 35, 5 and negative 7. Okay. Now my middle term here is a negative 2. So I am going to guess this one, because when I take 5 and negative 7, I get negative 2. So I'm going to guess them. Okay. So 5 would be a plus 5, and then negative 7 would be a minus 7. Okay. Now we know that x times x is x squared, so we're good there. And we know that 5 times negative 7 is negative 35, so we're good there. We need to check the negative 2x. And how I do that again, okay, is I'm going to take my x times my negative 7, I get negative 7x. Then I'm going to take my inside, that was my outside, now I'm going to take my inside, 5 times x, and I get 5x. When I add those, I get negative 2x. And that's what I wanted, a negative 2x. So I know this is my correct answer. Okay. Now we have a leading coefficient here. If you look up here, this leading coefficient is a 1, which makes this problem a lot easier. Okay. All right, so let's try another one. Okay. All right, now this is a little different because this leading coefficient's a positive 3x squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our two parentheses. So again, to get 3x squared, I had to multiply this term times this term. And the only way to get 3x squared is to multiply 3x times x. Okay. Now, negative 18, I'm going to have to multiply this times this and get negative 18. So let's go ahead and list our factors of negative 18. So we have negative 1 and 18, negative 2 and 9, negative 3 and 6, and then the opposite, 1 and negative 18, 2 and negative 9, 3 and negative 6. Okay. Now we're going to pick one. Now here you notice we have negative 25. None of these add up over here to negative 25. Okay, so I'm going to guess. Okay, I'm going to start here. I'm going to guess negative 3 and 6. So I'm going to go ahead and put a negative 3 and a positive 6. All right, we know this term and this term are correct, so I need to check my outsides. So 3x times 6 is 18x. And then negative 3x times x is negative 3x. When I add them, I get 15x. Well, I want negative 25x. Okay, so that didn't work. So we need to erase those. Okay, and we know that, this didn't work, so we're going to cross it out. Now we got to try another one. I'm going to go with the negative 2 and 9. So check, that didn't work. So we're going to take 3x times 9 and we get 27x. And then we're going to take negative 2 times x and we get negative 2x. I add those, I get 25x. Okay. Now it's a positive 25x and I want a negative 25x. Okay. So that means all I have to do is switch my numbers. So this is going to become a positive. And this is going to become, a negative. So now my answer is 3x plus 2 times x minus 9. Now that was a little more difficult because when we first did it, it didn't work. So we had to go and get another one. That's what's called guess and check. We're guessing. We have to check it. If it doesn't work, we take another guess. Okay. Now, if negative 2 and 9 didn't work, we would have to go through all of them. All right, one more. Okay, so let's go ahead and start our parentheses. All right. Now, I know, again, the only way to get 2x squared is to take 2x times x. Now, negative 7. Factors of negative 7. Negative 1 and 7, and 1. And negative 7. Now this is easy because there's only two guesses. Okay, so let's take a look. I'm going to guess just the first one. Minus 1 and a plus 7. All right. So again, that's my guess. My check is going to be my outside two terms. So I have 2x times 7, which is 14x. And then I have negative 1 times x, which is negative 1x, and I get a 13x. Okay. Now, there's a 13 there, but if you notice in front is a negative 13. Well, here I had a positive. So what am I going to do with my signs? I'm going to switch them. Okay. So this will become a plus 1, and this will become a minus 1. So my answer is 2x plus 1 and x minus 7. Okay guys, that's the first day of that. We'll spend a couple days on this, but good luck. Make sure you took good notes and you wrote everything down, even what I was saying. Have a great day.